Well, another video, 2 in a little over 2 weeks. That's as many as I did in 2020, so we'll put that down as a marginal improvement. This one I'm going to try and keep fairly straightforward. The title kind of gives it away. You'll see some changes here if you've been here before. If you're curious what this is, and if you'd like to know what gear I'm going to be using in 2021 for this YouTube channel, so that I can improve my filmmaking, photography and video production skills with footage from the sky, on land and underwater, then let's get to it. I figured we might as well start in here whilst we're sat here. If, like me, you watch a fair amount of content on YouTube on the subject of filmmaking, photography and video production and all that kind of thing, you're probably quite familiar with the message that many creators tell you, that if you want to get into creating content, creating videos, or even photography to a certain extent, you don't have to run out and buy shiny new kit to get started. And that's where I'm at, and why I thought I'd cover what gear I already have at the start of 2021. And you'll be able to see how I got on with it, because ultimately I think what I've got, certainly for the on land and sky part of things, are more than adequate for what I'm trying to achieve with this channel, and more than capable for me to use to learn the skills that I want to learn. The underwater side, which I'll come on to later, it's the interesting one. That's where I do already have kit that the majority of people won't have, and you might find this one quite interesting. But it's just that message kind of resounded with me, that given the times that we're in just now, the restrictions that we have, you know, as people financially, with work, all the rest of it, it's not really realistic for everyone to run out and buy all the kit they want if they want to start something new. So really look to yourself, look to see what you've already got, and see if you can utilise that. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I have been doing this week, trying out some new things, which you'll see out in the workshop in a minute, and something, kind of bit of a mantra that I want to stick to. So, on land, we'll cover first. And the whole kind of screencasting side of things, partly because it's actually in my set behind me, and that's where most of my on-land gear is now, because my main camera for now, for film and to a certain extent photo, I'm talking to you on right now. It's my iPhone 12. I've got an iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I'm currently using it through the computer here, using an app called Camo, which allows me to use it as a webcam. And I'm feeding that into OBS, which I'm using for all my screen recording. And that's all being run through my MacBook Pro 16. Not a new one, it's a couple of years, 2 years ago model, I think it is. And this mic by Neewer, you tell me, stick it in the comments. I can never pronounce that, and I'm going to have to say it again in a little while. So that's more or less the streaming setup. Is really basic, but hopefully it's going to be enough to get me by, and if things go well, I'll maybe look at improving it. In fact, if you know of some good kit for screencasting, just to put on my radar, drop down into the comments, let me know anything that you've used or have seen used that's maybe going to be helpful to get me this new channel up and running, as we said. Now, camera gear, on that back pretty decorative shelf that you can see behind me, on the right is what I would class as my main camera body, which is just a Canon EOS 80D. It's not full frame, it's not singing and dancing, it's a camera that takes photograph and does a half decent job on video. It was bought, I think 2 or 3 years ago now, back when I didn't have the courage to start the channel, and now that I'm actually more confident and willing to give this a go, it's effectively out of date. It doesn't shoot 4K, it doesn't shoot 8K, it doesn't do 120 frames per second, it doesn't do all the stuff that you need to be the big name YouTubers of the world. But what it does do is takes photographs and takes video, which I can use to build my skills. So that's going to be sticking around, certainly for landscape stuff, portrait stuff, and whatever I can't use my iPhone for. Next to that is my Nikon D3100. Now that's not really on my gear list, that's just my first DSLR. It is a dust collecting decoration on that shelf, but it filled it out nicely, so I threw it in there, along with a couple of the lenses underneath. They're Nikon lenses, which will just only ever get dusted. Next to that, the Canon G7X Mark II is another one that I've had for a couple of years, probably longer actually. It's actually a quite capable little camera. Again, doesn't shoot 4K, only does 1080. But it's got a decent battery life and it's got a nice shallow depth of field. It was what used to be classed as a stereotypical vlogging camera. And it still gets used to this day, even if it's for stuff that I don't put out publicly. And the last one in that little line is a little Crosstour action cam. It's a 4K action cam, GoPro alternative, far more affordable, and the results are actually pretty decent. And I can actually use that with some of the underwater gear, which I'll show you shortly. Lens-wise, you can see a nifty 50 there. There's an 18-55, and I've got a broken 10-18, which I need to get fixed if I want to do some landscape stuff. That's all for the Canon. And that kind of covers it. Oh, I'll tell you what I have bought recently, thanks to a video by Stephen J. Reid. When I knew I was going to go iPhone for kind of my main filming camera, I was aware that the audio was a bit pants for anything serious. I did have a Frankenstein rig set up where I was using a Rode Video Mic Pro on a little cold shoe mount on top of a tripod with the phone and about 2 or 3 cables to actually make it work. It was horrific. So I watched a video recently that Stephen did about the Rode vlogging kit for iOS. I made that investment based purely on what I was planning to do. It actually arrived this morning, the day I made this video, and we'll hear what it's like very soon once we come out of OBS screencasting mode. It also comes with this nice little tripod and the camera clip and a light, which is currently making some blue light behind us on the top shelf there. On lighting, actually I might as well talk about lighting briefly. I have, in this setup, I've got a key light here, which is part of a Neewer studio kit. Again, I bought this about maybe a year and a half ago. And because of who I was watching on YouTube at the time, I deemed it not up to scratch when I bought it. And it comes with 2 softbox lights, 2 umbrella lights, and a backdrop kit. And it's really affordable. It's not adjustable, but right now I need lights. I have lights. We've set it up. And for all, I'd love to change that out for a 100D with a soft dome, mini dome 2, I think is what I was looking at for aperture. I don't need to right now, I'll do it when I can. And I've got a little aperture panel in the back, which is making this little light on this side. Again, can't change the colour on that one. It's just the basic one that you can change the colour temperature on. And that's all my lighting. And other than some Gorilla Pods and other little mini tripods and what have you, that's kind of more or less the on-land gear, your kind of standard camera gear. So I'm going to have to take this to bits. And we'll get a chance to see what this new Rode mic's like on the iPhone. And we'll go through the workshop and I'll show you what I have for Sky and Sea. That's me switched onto the Rode vlogging kit now. So this is the microphone. Let me know what you think the sound is like. It's going to be a lot more convenient than my Frankenstein outfit that I mentioned before. I'll just have to... This office is tiny, by the way, and the way that I reset it up means a bit of a squeeze to get in and out, but I guess worth it in the long run. So heading through to the workshop to cover the rest of the gear. The Neewer kit that I mentioned earlier on, the reason I needed to dig it out was to try green screening, which I've never done before. So as to what level of success I'll have, we'll just have to wait and see. But this is the rest of the lights here. You can see a couple of umbrella lights and the softbox in the background there, and the background kit. So heading for the skies then, a bit of aerial action. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you may know that I used to have a DJI Spark. Now that was a great fun little bit of kit, really portable, really light. I got mine just before they brought out the Mini, gutted. But it wasn't that reliable, it didn't have a huge range, it was limited on resolution, it was limited on frame rate. So I eventually punted it in December. In fact, I put it on eBay and I got ripped off good and proper. Still slightly sore. Anyway, the reason I decided to upgrade was in fact the last trip I was offshore, weird story this, I was asked if I would fly a drone for one of the companies that was out working with us to film some new test equipment that they were using. And they brought with them a Mavic Pro, one of the original Mavic Pros. But it was the first chance I had to fly something like that and I fell in love straight away. So when I came back from that, as a bit of a business investment, both for the innovation side of things and for myself, I have invested in a Mavic Air 2. I got this back in, I think, September, October time. Fortunately, between lockdowns, I got a chance to get it up and flying a couple of times, and I'm absolutely blown away with the results that even someone as early to the game as I am managed to get. So I'm really looking forward to taking this out round and about coastal Scotland and up to the hills and mountains and stuff, and see what kind of footage I can get with this as I learn how to do things better. Hopefully you'll follow along. I've got the Flymore pack, which came with the ND filters. That's one of the things I think I might upgrade slightly. I might go for a variable ND, because bringing it back down and having to twist the lens off to change it each time would be easier with a variable. The other thing I'm doing is currently looking into my COC, the certificate of competency, so that ultimately I can do maybe with this, maybe with another one, commercial drone stuff, be that inspection work for an Evotion, or even if I'm fortunate enough to get some stuff for filming, photography, whatever, would be kind of nice to do it legally and above board. So that like I say, that covers aerial stuff, that covers the sky. So we've done sky and ground. There's only one place to go now, and that is underwater, which is ultimately what I reckon I might end up getting known for. Two sides to this one. We have underwater drones and we have ROVs. Now, underwater drones I call drones because ultimately the live feed that you get back from them comes to your phone, just like it would the Mavic Air 2. And my tool of choice on that front just now is this little baby. This is the Naldrett Mito, and this was actually a campaign where the idea for an Evotion came from in the first place. Things have obviously changed since then. However, it's still here. It's a first generation by this manufacturer, and it has had some reliability issues, which they're gradually ironing out. And there are a few updates, I believe, in the pipeline for the app, which means it's going to get a bit better. Now, this shoots in 4K. It's got some bad boy lights on the front of it, and goes down to about 40 meters. And it's got a Wi-Fi buoy or buoy, depending on where you're from, which means you can actually use it at a distance away from your controller and phone and stuff. Really portable, stick it in a backpack, you can take it somewhere super remote. You don't need to carry any extra gear with you. Everything that's in the bag is all you need to get this in the water and go and film whatever it is you want, assuming it's 40 meters or less. That's the underwater drone side of things. The bigger brother, if you will, is the main tool that I've got for an Evotion, and what I'll be using for inspection and survey stuff. And this is it here. I'll just try and give you some perspective on this. This is probably bigger than it looks in here because my head's in front of it, all that kind of thing. This is the Blue ROV 2 from Blue Robotics. Very much an ROV. I can strap all kinds of sensors and extra lights, cameras. There's all kinds of different bits of tooling you can put on here, grabber, you name it. It's a proper little ROV. A bit clumpier. It shoots in 1080. I've got a little bracket on the front there so I can put that action cam I showed you through the office. I can pop that on there and get 4K for now. However, because it's so adaptable and modifiable, I'm actually going to look at this year trying to get the native camera upgraded to 4K. I'm just going to do some learning and research first. Now, the only downside to this is that, I don't know if you can see, it needs a laptop. We've got extra controllers, there's some serious batteries, to be honest with you, that are needed for this. So ultimately you need the boot of a car, or some strapping lads, I guess, to get you anywhere. You can't use it as remotely as the Naldrett Mito, is basically what I'm trying to say there. But it is a very, very capable bit of kit, and I'm looking forward to getting in the water and showing you what it can do. And that's what's going to make me stand out a little bit, because you won't see many of these on YouTube. But you know, this means, like I say, inspection and survey stuff for an Evotion, I'll be using it for. But what I'm really quite passionate about and dying to get my teeth into is filming marine life, and maybe going on wreck dives. And the other one which I've come up with, and Scotland does have these places, old submerged towns and houses and stuff like that, where they've done hydro projects, or global warming's had an impact, or there's been some geographical change There are areas where there's like old houses and everything that are underwater, and I think it'd be really interesting to go and explore them and see what we can find. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know, and I'll do some research and some planning for when these restrictions are lifted, and see what kind of interesting trips I can come up with. In fact, on that, what would you like to see me doing first? Aerial? Do you want to do my version of droning? Or do you want to see some underwater stuff? Or do you want to see me head to the hills as soon as we are given some freedom? Stick a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the whole setup, what gear I've got, anything you're particularly interested in. I'm more than happy to try and help out and answer any questions. And that's pretty much it. That covers the whole of my gear. And pretty much the topic of this video. So, what am I going to be doing next? Next video, I'll probably look a bit more in depth at the new channel. I'll be letting you know which app it is that I'm going to be focusing and featuring first on that one, because it might be of some use to people on here too. And that's basically how I'm going to spend the next week or so, is just trying to get that second channel up and running. And I might do a video which follows me through the process, or lets people who are interested in starting a YouTube channel follow through the actual physical process of what you'd have to do to get up and running. Not so much the search side and all the optimization and all that kind of stuff, just the bricks and mortar of trying to get started a channel up and running on YouTube. If you're interested, let me know. Anyway, if you've liked this video, head down below, hit that like button. It does make a difference. Whilst you're down there, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the bell and see if I can keep this regularity, so to speak, running. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.